Right, Strongman fam, welcome back to the MST Systems YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon and put a comment below just to help support the channel. I'm trying to become the #1 place for strongman, strong woman education. I'm going to jump in today, guys. We'll jump straight in. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a reaction, breaking down the techniques used by Martins Licis in his return competition that he won the Rogue Invitational just recently. Had an amazing performance, got up against Tom Stoltman, Jerry Pritchett, Novikov, Klizovsky, everybody was there, big lineup. So we're going to jump straight into it, guys. We're going to go into the elephant bar deadlift, which was event #1. We're going to be looking at Licis deadlift here. So first thing you'll see, guys, here with Martins, he sits down into the pull. He's one of those people that kind of pulls like Misha Koklaev, where he sits his hips real low and then he'll explode into the bar as his hips rise. This is quite a common thing that people do, and the reason why it's quite a used technique is it allows the lifter to kind of find their optimal hip height. So what they do is they kind of try and imagine Eddie Hall did this as well in his 500 actually. They're trying to drive the legs into the floor almost like they're doing a leg press. And then what will often happen is the barbell will not move until the hip hits the optimal height and the shoulders come in line with the bar. The problem in doing this is that you can get your shoulders behind the bar and you can end up applying isometric force for like a second or two before the bar lifts. So there are some mistakes you can't make with it. Obviously Martins doesn't make any mistakes, but there are some mistakes you make with techniques. So I'm going to press play again. So as he starts, so I've paused this now just above the knee. So just below the knee. So you can see now that his hips are quite high, his shoulders are in line with the bar, he's got some thoracic flexion going on. Really nice position from Martins there. But this is a common misconception that people make when they copy these lifters, is they don't sink the hip to try and lift the bar off the floor while the hip is low. They're doing it to allow them to find the optimal hip position as they apply force to the bar. So you'll see as the bars move there, it's about an inch off the floor, guys. He's got a high hip position, he's got a very vertical shin, he's got a flexed thoracic, his shoulders are protracted to the forward, and yeah, it looks like a brilliant deadlift position. As he gets over the knee now, you'll notice that his shoulders are still in line with the bar. His knees, his feet are externally rotated and his knees are tracking out slightly. This is going to give a little bit of better glute engagement. And then he's able to pull through to the lockout. And yeah, fucking perfect deadlift, no hitch, spot on. The thing that you'll notice about these top deadlifters is not a lot of them are mad hitchers. I mean, obviously some are, but most of them, like Martins, doesn't hitch his pulls, he doesn't sit, not pound stoning them. And that's because the positions are so perfect. And it all comes down to the start position, guys. If your start position is correct, if your start position is optimal, then you'll probably be able to lock it out without hitching. Oftentimes people have too high a hip and too much thoracic flexion, and it means that when they come over the knee, their shoulders are over the bar. If we rewind slightly and just watch this again, low hip start, explodes into the bar, high hips, as he comes over the knee, boom, his shoulders are in line with the bar over the knee. That's the biggest cue to take away from this, guys. His shoulders in line with the bar as it comes over the knee, and you'll be able to lock it out without rebending the knee. If your shoulders are over the bar, you're going to rebend the knee. Moving on to event #2, the dumbbell ladder. So Mr. Licis is here, so he's going to play this. So Licis is on the right, Mr. Shaw's on the left. These are Sear dumbbells as well. There's a little bit different to press than Monster dumbbells. Lovely press on that first one, which is 250 pounds. 274, this is about 120 kilo, is it? Lovely. Boom. We're gonna play this back, guys. I'm gonna show you these dips. These are really good dips. But Licis's dip here, guys, is really good on this 280 pounder. Let's look at this 290 pounder. Ooh, looks like it's gonna be a heavy one. Oh, just missed it. Ooh, that's class. Shaw's going again at this 280 pounder. He's got a very narrow stance, guys. I don't know why he's. I don't particularly agree with that from Shaw. If I was coaching Mr. Brian Shaw there, I'd be saying to Brian that he needs to. He's losing a lot of power on his dip because he's not. He's going very narrow, and when you go narrow and you point your toes, look how wide he stood when he picks it up, guys. He stood in this really powerful wide stance with external rotation of his feet, and I'm pretty certain he squats there as well. And then when he gets the dumbbell racked, he brings his feet narrow, which means that to dip he can only track his knees forward. He can't really open up at the hip. Oh, he's got even narrower there. That's really narrow. Wow. Yeah, that dip there is very short. Knees tracking forward, hips not going back. Yeah. So, takeaway from this is basically that Martin's dip is much more efficient on this dumbbell than Mr. Shaw's. But Shaw's really good at dumbbell though, so I'm quite shocked I've noticed that, to be fair. I didn't expect to do that. So Martin's has a really nice vertical torso. He's slightly lent to his left side because the dumbbell's in his right arm. He's slightly lent to his left side. You can see his torso angle slightly over. So if we were able to draw a line down the middle of Martin's dip, you'll notice that the center of the dumbbell comes through the center of his hip, which is perfect position for it. His hip has gone back ever so slightly, and his knees have tracked forward and out, which is real perfect from the dumbbell perspective. When he extends upwards as well, you'll notice that he doesn't press out the dumbbell. This is something that Shaw's doing. If you watch Shaw and Martin's as the dumbbells lock out, Shaw is pressing his out, whereas Martin's is leaning ever so slightly to get under it. So, yeah, so Martin's, as he's here, his arm's about to lock and he leans to get under it. So he doesn't actually press with his tricep. Whereas if you look at Shaw, Shaw is more vertical and he's actually going and pressing out that last little inch of the dumbbell. Now, the problem with dumbbell is you need to get under it to press the most weight. And also, if you press that first dumbbell, then the second dumbbell, you're fatiguing that tricep and it's a maximal lockout for that tricep, which is why it doesn't surprise me that Shaw missed the press. Hang on a second here. Did Shaw get injured in that first event? Because he looks to be walking a bit funny. Actually, I didn't watch Shaw's first event because I was mainly watching Martin's. Shaw, if you're injured, I'm sorry for critiquing your dumbbell, but he's walking a little funky and he does walk off a bit strange after that last attempt. Maybe he got injured. Anyway, guys, we're going to move on. We're going to go on to the wheel of pain. So it's starting away from the wheel. Boom, look at that. First thing you'll notice, guys, so he's took a really long stance. He's on the ball of his foot and he's driving his hip forward. And he's driving with straight arms. He's not trying to press it. He's leaning all his body weight. So this mechanic that he's built here is optimal for taking advantage of his body mass, his weight. He's leaning his force into it and driving with a very short range of motion. So this is how you would do a truck pull, how you would start a truck pull, and it's very transferable over to this. And kind of the opposite, if you're doing a drag, you want to be the opposite position almost. He's got quite short footsteps that are fast, and he's trying to open his stride. But I think he slowed it down actually. So I think on wheel of pain, you don't really want to open your stride. You want as little range of motion as possible because it's going to just stop that lactic build-up a little bit. And this event, guys, is just pure. This event is just pure grit. There's a bit of technique to it. Obviously, making sure your angle is correct, making sure you're leaning your body weight into it is the main thing here. But with an event like this, it just comes down to, you know, who takes the most beta-alanine. Nah, not quite, but beta-alanine would help. But yeah, it's just grit and grind. So he secured third in that. Not much to say on this one, guys, but it's one of them events where there's not really much technique to break down. His position's optimal. He's getting loads of his body weight into it. He's got that perfect mechanic to drive. Even if you took that away, you know, sometimes you have bad technique and just grit and grind through it. So we're going to get onto the yoke now, guys. Perfect technique on the yoke. Short, sharp, powerful steps. Ooh, he's across the line, yeah. then with the log, ooh, a bit rushy there. It wasn't bad though, it was just rushy. Perfect technique. I think he could slow himself down a little bit, but I'm sure he knows that. Ooh. Celebrating. So I actually think that if he was a little more controlled on the log, he would have done it faster. He was thinking so much about the speed that I think it actually slowed him down. But, you know, is what it is, isn't it? When he gets into this log here, guys, look at this transition. So lap, boom, into the clean. So as he's down in the clean position, his elbows are high, his shoulders are behind the log, and one thing I will note here, guys, is I don't know what Martins would usually use for log, but something interesting about this event is you're obviously having to yoke into log, so you're having to choose footwear. You have to use flat shoes, basically. You're using your yoke shoes, aren't you? So maybe that's why he was a little bit wobbly after the clean, because as he's in rack position here, something that's real subtle but sweet to actually notice is if you watch his clean, as he lands in the rack, watch his feet excellently rotate. So what he's actually doing is he's cleaning the log with feet facing forward, and then as he lands in rack, his feet are going out. On the second rep, he actually stepped back, so he couldn't do it as well. But the third rep, he stepped out as well. The first rep, he basically achieved the motion that he was after. If you watch that first rep, the first rep's real smooth. The first rep, he cleans it, lands in rack, his feet go out, he dips at the same time. The first rep was real sweet. And something that I tell everybody, and I've been trying to push this in Strongman for fucking ages, is notice that Martins on the press keeps his head back until he's near enough locked out. So if I can pause this second rep, boom. This second rep, he's at this bent back angle, his spine's back, his head's behind the log, and he's looking in this direction. Then he locks out and then comes through. That is how you want to do a press, guys. You don't want to push a log and be here. You want to be behind it. Absolutely class from Martins there. That little subtle footwork is really nice. It's stuff like that that makes people able to shave off a few seconds. Like I say, I think that the thing thrown in there could have been a number of things. I think the footwear, and I think the fact that you're outside. If any of you guys have ever logged outside, it can really throw your balance off, and oftentimes causes people to step back when they do a clean, because they look up at the sky and there's no like spatial awareness, because you're just looking into infinity, whereas you might be used to training with a certain ceiling height. So that was really good, and obviously got in second place there, I believe. So that was a good performance. And then the stones is the final event. Real good solid performance from Martins, and loads of little good cues that you can pick up from him, like that subtle one of the external rotation of the feet being so fluid into the clean. I really like that. These stones are pretty cool. I saw these and I thought to myself, what a great event, because they're not like your typical Atlas stones, are they? They seem to be, I wouldn't say natural stones, but they're just a bit odd shaped, aren't they? So the good thing about this is how fast he is. I really enjoyed this event. So stone over hitching post. So what I want you to look at, guys, is always look at the footwork and how he transitions between the stones, because often this is completely overlooked. So you'll notice that as he goes to the stones, he places his feet in the same spot on every single stone. He's got the same step every single stone. Oh, he smashed that, didn't he? But when he loads this, let's go to the start. So let's watch the footwork. Notice it's the same every single time. You can tell this is well drilled. So the first stone's a little closer. So it's one, boom. And then it's 1, 2. Into the stone, boom, 1, 2 into the stone, rhythm to it, bit of a beat to it, and then it's 1, 2 into the stone. And then this next one, it looks further away, but it still does a 1, 2, 1, 2, real, he jumps 1, 1, 2, and then, yeah, into the stone. No messing, solid footwork, every single transition, dun, 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 real smooth, yeah, real good performance, really enjoyed it. Glad he's back. I think he's an absolute boss. And the reason why I'm a big fan of Martins is because he's one of the first openweight strongmen that I've seen that basically broke down and worked on position and technique, and a lot of lightweight strongmen and strongwomen are much better technically at events than the open weights. Even though they're obviously strong, big, massive dudes, they just don't have that technical efficiency on a lot of the events. They do a lot of the events wrong, guys, I'll be honest with you. A lot of people have big technical flaws in the strongman events, which lightweight strongmen kind of don't have that issue. Like, you look at the top under 90, under 80 lads, the 63 girls, technically they're amazing. And a lot of the times, the open weight guys, the top dudes at Giants, they're just absolute animals, and they do things, I won't say wrong, but they do things inefficiently. But Martin's one of the first guys that I seen who really doesn't do anything inefficiently. There are obviously other guys out there as well that don't, but I'm just saying Martin's was the first one that I noticed. And that's why I'm really glad that he's back. This was a really good performance from him. Everything was absolutely class. You can learn a lot of things from just studying these videos, guys. Like I say, subtle little cues, like that little fluid transition on the log clean, because obviously he must like cleaning the log with his feet facing forward, but then he likes to press it with them externally rotated. So that first rep of his log, just watch his feet, guys. Real fluid and no waste of energy. It wasn't in rack and then he like stepped out and changed his feet. It literally just flowed, like his heel raised and his feet went boom. Real lovely transition. And then the stones, transitioning between the stones. I get my guys to do lateral shuffle training anyway, where they do a stone, back to stone, because you need to learn to be fluid, you need to learn to have rhythm, and you need to learn what to do with your hands as well. Like, one of the worst things I see a lot of athletes do is they side shuffle to the stone, and then they stay stood upright and they go, and they take a breath at the top, and then they bend down. So they go 1, 2, shuffle, down. You do that on 5 stones, you've just lost yourself, 2 seconds every stone just from taking your brace at the top. Martin's is 1, 2, and he's already round the stone and he's lapping it. 1, 2, he's round the stone and he's lapping it. 1, 2, that cuts off so much time every single stone. It adds up, guys. It really does add up. So have a look at his performance if you're competing, break it down, look at little different cues and look at bits and see what you can take, because there are some real good bits that you can grab from Martin's. He's a real good technical strongman and he does things in a real nice, fluid, efficient way. So I really suggest that you guys study some of this tape as well and look at some of the bits you can take away from it. And obviously the other guys as well. I've obviously made this video on Martin's and a little bit of Brian Shaw, but yeah, take a look at all the other guys as well. Study some tape, guys. You can pick up and learn so much stuff from studying tape. And also, don't just think that someone's doing something, they must be correct. If you see something and you think there's an issue, then don't copy it. And, as I may have learned from experience, you're not allowed to point it out for certain people. If certain pros do something wrong, you're not allowed to say anything because they are right and you are wrong. But that's it for this video, guys. Remember to subscribe to the channel, comment please, and go to the website if you want to get into strongman, if you're interested in getting into the sport. Go to the website, get the MST Systems free strongman ebook. It's 8 weeks long. It will get you into the sport. You'll be able to use the gym locator to find it and it'll all be good. If you want something more advanced, get MST Bot, guys. If you don't have a program for off season, download MST Bot. It's 4 weeks free and trust me, it'll do so much for your off season training. It'll be absolutely class. That's it from me. I'll see you next time.